Throughout military history, deception has been a strategic tool used to mislead, confuse, or delay the enemy. One recurring tactic is the deployment of fake soldiers or dummy armies, units that do not exist in combat capacity but are constructed to appear real through visual, auditory, or intelligence-based cues. The purpose of using fake soldiers can vary: to mask a real attack, to divert enemy forces, to buy time, or to achieve psychological advantages. This tactic is most commonly referred to as military deception or strategic deception. It includes the use of decoys, dummy equipment, false radio communications, fake uniforms, and even actors or mannequins. These deceptions are designed to misrepresent the size, location, intention, or capability of a force. Unlike camouflage, which aims to conceal, fake soldier strategies are meant to be seen and interpreted incorrectly by the enemy. There are several prominent examples of wars or major operations where fake soldiers were used intentionally and effectively. These range from ancient warfare to modern conflicts, with the most sophisticated implementations occurring during the 20th century, particularly in World War II. Each example demonstrates how fabricated forces influenced real-world decisions, often altering the course of battles or entire campaigns. One of the earliest known examples of deception through false military presence is the use of the Trojan horse during the legendary Siege of Troy, as recorded in ancient Greek literature. Although the historical accuracy of the event is debated, the concept illustrates a foundational example of using illusion in warfare. The Greeks, after a prolonged and unsuccessful siege, constructed a large wooden horse and hid a select force of soldiers inside it. The rest of the Greek army pretended to retreat, leaving the horse as an offering to the Trojans. The Trojans, believing the Greeks had abandoned the siege and left the horse as a gift, brought it into the city. At night, the Greek soldiers emerged from the hollow structure, opened the gates to the returning Greek forces, and facilitated the sack of Troy. Whether myth or historical fact, the narrative shows an early use of physical deception in the form of a false withdrawal and hidden soldiers acting as a surrogate force. The psychological principle here was simple: create the appearance of retreat and offer a token that exploited the enemy's assumptions. While the fake soldiers in this case were hidden rather than fully fabricated, the tactic involved misleading the enemy into underestimating the threat, which resulted in a strategic collapse of Troy's defenses. One of the most sophisticated uses of fake soldiers in modern warfare occurred during World War II, under Operation Fortitude. This was a sub-operation of the larger Allied deception strategy known as Operation Bodyguard. The aim was to convince Nazi Germany that the Allied invasion of Western Europe would occur at Pas-de-Calais, rather than the actual target, Normandy. To support this deception, the Allies created a fictitious military formation. The 1st U.S. Army Group, FUSAG, supposedly led by General George S. Patton. The illusion was built using a combination of inflatable tanks, wooden aircraft, dummy landing craft, and fake military camps. These decoys were positioned in southeastern England, visible to German aerial reconnaissance. Additionally, the Allies transmitted false radio traffic, simulating communications between fictional units. Controlled double agents, particularly Juan Pujol Garcia, codename Garbo, provided the Germans with detailed but fabricated intelligence supporting the illusion of FUSAG's existence and its readiness to attack Calais. German intelligence believed these reports and maintained significant defensive forces at Pas-de-Calais even after the Normandy landings had begun. The success of Operation Fortitude demonstrated that physical decoys, false signals, and controlled human intelligence could together create a convincing illusion of military presence. It materially impacted German decision-making and helped secure the success of the D-Day landings. Operation Quicksilver was a direct component of Operation Fortitude that specifically detailed the tactical development of the fictional 1st U.S. Army Group. It focused on reinforcing the illusion that FUSAG was a large and imminent threat to German-occupied France. Operation Quicksilver involved several elements of deception. 1. Visual deception through inflatable equipment, fake roads, and vehicle tracks. 2. Radio deception, where real operators simulated command and control communications for a non-existent force. 3. Human deception through actors and soldiers posing as staff officers in the field. The ruse extended to press manipulation and false orders. Intelligence reports were planted or leaked in a way that they would reach German analysts. Military exercises were staged to appear as operational rehearsals for a Calais landing. Importantly, the entire operation was designed to be seen by the enemy in exactly the way the Allies intended. Operation Quicksilver functioned as the active stage performance for the broader Fortitude narrative. By managing each observable detail, from aerial visuals to radio signals to foot traffic, the Allies orchestrated a complete illusion of military presence and readiness. This played a direct role in maintaining the German strategic error well beyond June 6, 1944. During the North Africa campaign of World War II, British forces executed Operation Bertram to deceive German Field Marshal Erwin Rommel ahead of the Second Battle of El Alamein. The operation's goal was to convince Axis forces that the main attack would come in the south, rather than the actual northern axis of assault. To achieve this, British forces constructed dummy tanks made of canvas over wooden frames and placed them in the southern sector. Simultaneously, real tanks were disguised as trucks by using removable wooden covers called sun shields. These disguises misled aerial reconnaissance into perceiving the concentration of armored forces in the wrong area. Supplies and logistics were also manipulated. Dummy fuel pipelines and food storage facilities were constructed in the southern area to imply a prolonged campaign would be launched from that direction. At the same time, real supply movements to the north were concealed by transporting material only at night. Operation Bertram was successful in misdirecting Axis defensive preparations, allowing British forces to achieve surprise during the actual northern offensive. This contributed significantly to the success of the battle and was a decisive turning point in the North African theater. In the latter stages of World War II, the United States formed a tactical deception unit known as the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, more commonly referred to as the Ghost Army. This unit specialized in battlefield deception and was composed of artists, sound engineers, radio operators, and set designers. The Ghost Army executed over 20 deception operations in the European theater between 1944 and 1945. Their tactics included inflatable tanks and artillery, sound trucks playing pre-recorded battle noises, and fake radio transmissions. They also used visual deception by painting false unit insignias on vehicles and constructing false bivouac areas to suggest the presence of entire divisions. The Ghost Army worked independently and alongside combat units to simulate troop movements, deployments, and buildups in areas where no such forces existed. Their ability to mislead enemy intelligence frequently caused the German military to reposition units defensively against non-existent threats, thereby easing pressure on actual Allied operations. The unit remained classified for decades and was only publicly acknowledged in the 1990s. Its operations provide one of the clearest examples of how art, sound, and illusion were combined to manipulate enemy behavior through the illusion of force. In the lead-up to the 1967 Six-Day War, Israel engaged in various forms of deception to mask its true strategic intent. Although not as reliant on physical fake soldiers as earlier examples, the operations included the deployment of dummy equipment, false troop movements, and staged radio traffic to suggest defensive postures while preparing for a preemptive strike. Israeli forces used camouflage and decoys to hide real troop movements. Tanks and artillery were concealed in mock positions, while the actual concentrations of forces were kept mobile and hidden in less observable areas. The Israeli Air Force also manipulated flight patterns and engaged in routine patrols to disguise its intent to launch a surprise attack on multiple Arab airfields. The combination of misdirection, speed, and concealment contributed to the overwhelming success of Israel's initial air and ground assaults. Although fewer dummy troops were employed compared to World War II operations, the strategic deception effectively delayed enemy mobilization and intelligence analysis, giving Israel a critical advantage. All documented uses of fake soldiers and decoy forces in warfare share certain operational principles. 1. The deception must be believable within the enemy's current intelligence framework. 2. It requires consistency across physical, signal, and human intelligence channels. 3. It is most effective when combined with an actual operation occurring elsewhere. 4. Psychological manipulation of enemy assumptions is central to success. The effectiveness of these operations has influenced modern military doctrine. Today, electronic warfare, digital deception, and psychological operations are descendants of the same principles used in deploying fake soldiers and phantom armies. While the technology has evolved, the fundamental idea remains unchanged. Strategic advantage can be gained by convincing your enemy that something false is true, and then acting before they realize the error.